Hey guys, I'm here today with another tag video called the Opposite Books tag. I've not actually been tagged in this video, I just saw it running around on YouTube and it looked like fun, so I'm doing it. I will link the original video in the description below, so without further ado, let's get to it. Number 1 is the first book in your collection and the last book in your collection. The first book in my collection is Lord of the Rings by J.R.R. Tolkien. I received this from my mother, it was actually inherited. I think this book was actually published in the 1970s somewhere. As you can see, it is kind of old. The last book I bought was The Storm of Swords by George R.R. Martin. I actually picked this up a few days ago in a lovely little secondhand bookshop. So it's a little bit old, but it's the last book I bought. Number 2 is a cheap book and an expensive book. For a cheap book, I'm going to go with Guardian of the Gate by Michelle Zink. This one I found for 29 Rand, I think it translates to about $2 in American. But I haven't actually read it, so I don't know if I'll ever really will read it, but it was cheap, so I got it. For the most expensive book, I'm going to go with City of Heavenly Fire by Cassandra Clare. I bought this book maybe 2 or 3 days after it came out, so that pretty much makes it the most expensive book I own because most of the books I buy like maybe 2 or 3 years after they actually come out. For number 3, there is a book with a male protagonist and a book with a female protagonist. For a male protagonist, I went with Whiskey Beach by Nora Roberts. This follows a man named Eli Landon as he lands up getting chased and hunted down by some madman that's trying to destroy his life. For female protagonist, I went with Divergent by Veronica Roth, who follows Triss, which is really awesome. Brilliant character, absolutely love her. Number 4 is a book that I read really quickly and then a book that took forever to read. For the book that I read really quickly, I chose The Host by Stephanie Meyer because I read this entire thing in one sitting. It was just that good. Absolutely amazing, definitely recommend it. For a book that took really long to read, I went with Feast of Souls by Cecilia Friedman. I think I started this book over a year ago. Yeah, I'm not even halfway through it yet. I'll get to it one day. Oops. Number 5 is a pretty cover and an ugly cover. For a pretty cover, I went with Clockwork Princess by Cassandra Clare because look at it. It is so beautiful. It is so pretty. For an ugly book cover, I chose Whiteacre by Philippa Gregory. The only reason I chose this book was because I actually knew the author and kind of wanted to read her work. Other than that, I probably would have just walked right past this book, I'm ashamed to say. Number 6 is a national book and an international book. For a national book, I went with Birds of Prey by Wilbur Smith, South African author. I've not actually read any of his work and I inherited this from my mother, so one day I'll get to it, hopefully, who knows. For an international author, I went with Criminal by Karen Slaughter, who is an American author, and I absolutely love this book, and any book written by her, she is an insta-buy author for me. Number 7 is a thin book versus a thick book. For a thin book, I chose If I Stay by Gail Forman. I only picked this up a few days ago, so I haven't actually read it yet, but I've heard many good things and I look forward to reading it. For a thick book, I chose Heirs of the Blade by Adrian Tchaikovsky, a Russian author. Look at this thing. It is huge. Number 8 is a fiction book versus a non-fiction book. For a fiction book, I chose The Blight of Mages by Karen Miller. I haven't actually read this one yet, but I'm looking forward to reading it soon, hopefully, also fantasy related. My favorite genre. For a non-fiction book, I chose A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. I actually have no idea what this book is. It was given to me as a gift and I haven't read it. I might read it sometime soon, I might not. One way to find out. Number 9 is a romantic book versus an action book. For a romantic book, I chose Angels Fall by Nora Roberts. This is definitely an awesome romance and the main guy is a writer, so how can you resist? For an action book, I chose Did You Miss Me by Karen Rose. I didn't put this book down once, it is just constantly full of action and it's really a great read. I recommend it if you love thriller or anything action-packed. Number 10 is a book that made you happy versus a book that made you sad. For a book that made me happy, I'm going to have to go with Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. It has been a very long time since I read anything that was remotely close to middle grade fiction and I found that it was actually very pleasing and enjoyable. The characters and everything is just really interesting and it's a very cute story, so it made me very happy. For a book that made me sad, I'm gonna have to go with Betrayed by Lindsay Harris, an absolutely heartbreaking book. It follows the story of a small sweet little girl that has her entire life completely disrupted and turned completely upside down. It's insane. And she tries to survive, but she's only about 6 years old and it's so sad. It made me cry and it really made me realize how horrible humanity could be sometimes. Very good book if you're into that kind of thing. And that is the end of this book tag. Have you read any of these books? Did you enjoy them? How did they make you feel? Hit subscribe or leave a like if you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you did in the comments below. Until next time, bye bye!